Redditors. What are your most interesting roommate stories? My roommate in college claimed he was involved with the mafia. He was constantly sweaty, was very jumpy, and always had a lot of cash in his car. He never was around on the weekends. And I never saw him drink. Strangest of all is that he never once slept in his room. He was always on the couch by the door. He eventually told me that it was because if someone ever broke in looking for him, he wanted them to find him right away, so no one else would get hurt. I still don't know if he was telling the truth, but nonetheless I always locked my bedroom door at night. I'm pretty sure I used to live with a hobbit. Man about 5'1", curly brown hair, constantly cheerful demeanor, never wore shoes, inside or out, literally slept on the floor in what can only be explained as a nest of blankets. Started a garden and encouraged me to eat his tomatoes all the time. Would bring home samosas and other goodies, always giving me half just because. He and his wife had a dream of living off the grid in a tiny home on a truck. And #X200B. I hope he's doing well. My South Korean roommate in college played StarCraft. 2. Not sure. Well into the night. We're talking like I'd be getting up to go to class and he'd be logging off. It cured my insomnia. Listening to a game in a language I didn't understand was very soothing. Apparently. And I went from taking 3 to 4 hours a night to fall asleep, if I would at all, to falling asleep within 30 seconds of laying my head down. When he skipped out on rent and moved while I was at work, he left behind some of the most interesting porn I've seen. He was into amputees and urine. He also vomited on the carpet, never cleaned it up, and it ate through. I didn't get my deposit back. I taught a roommate how to boil water. Iced tea was the first thing, other than sandwiches and salads, that she had ever made. There are plenty, but one of my roommates used to sleepwalk and sleep talk almost every night, and I was the only one who'd be awake whenever it would happen. I'd witness her cleaning our fridge, sealing our opened bag of chips, and I'd hear her quote Shakespeare in her sleep. What made her go back to bed was me asking her to sleep, and she'd look at me and close her eyes. Whenever I asked her if she recalled any of it, the answer was always no. My roommate once created a whole new life form by leaving beans in the fridge until they molded so bad they became pure white. Then she got mad when I threw it away because she was going to use it later. I used to cook dinner and always made enough to offer to our roommate. He paid his bills and rent always, but sometimes he didn't have enough for food, so I would cook and say, "Hey man, wanna have dinner with us?" Quote. He would usually say he didn't like whatever I was making. Fast forward to morning. All the leftovers were gone. His explanation? He must have been sleepwalking and ate it in his sleep. This happened 15 to 20 times over a year period. Minimum. He would make these big song and dances about how what I was making was gross. So I would put up enough leftovers for two, my boyfriend and I, then go to bed. What was to be lunches for work gone, and often dirty utensils in the sink. Fast forward another 5 years and he called me at 3 a.m. after not talking to me or my partner for 3 years, and told me my now husband, aforementioned BF, was doing crack in front of our 4-year-old. I called my husband, who was asleep. Neither of us had talked to him in years. What was this? Fast forward another 5 years. He's on death row for killing his roommate. His defense? He did it sleepwalking. First college roommate rarely did laundry and would borrow my underwear especially for dates, and return 'em dirty, unwashed. I told him in unequivocal terms to keep his hands off my junk. But he'd borrow whatever he needed anyway. My freshman year college roommate was a random pairing. This kid partied all night and slept all day. Legit wouldn't wake up until 5 p.m. He goes MIA for like a week. I call my mom because I'm not sure he's even alive. She searches to see if he has been arrested. Before she can call me back, the cops are knocking at our door and ask, "Have you seen _________," and I say no. Mom calls me back a few minutes later. He had been booked for robbery at a convenience store which was in our dorm building. He tried to hide in an air vent. He made the front page of the campus newspaper. Was expelled, and I got the whole dorm to myself for the rest of the fall and spring semester. I spent over a year falling asleep to the angry, muffled whisper but not really arguments between my roomie and his girlfriend. Just muffled enough that I couldn't understand what the problem was. But they were clearly not happy together. So I'd just lie in bed wondering, what's my duty of care here? Like they weren't violent with each other. And it wasn't like one person was terrorizing the other. It was just two young people in a consensual and mutual spiral of despair.